out that this screen that we're using, the NTSC screen, follows something called the golden proportion. This makes this screen suitable to be divided in 9 regions, 3 and 3. The other kind of screen that is in wide use today and will get more popular as time goes by is the 16 by 9. This kind of screen has a different proportion in which the horizontal length, even though it can be interpreted in times of 3 just like NTSC, is usually divided in 4. And the vertical again falls in 3 regions. We are really in presence of something that follows more or less the same reading conventions. Studies made have demonstrated that we read an image in a particular way, and this particular way has a lot to do with the way we read printed letters, printed words. The same is true for cultures that read in a different direction from us. So some generalities of the way our sight scans a printed page are transferred verbatim to the way we scanned an image that has no printed information. The fact that we read an image pretty much the same way that we read a printed page has very interesting repercussions. First one is that now we know where to place the most interesting things in an image and where can we place things that we want the audience's eye to drift to. Recognize the blocks of colors, the gross masses that shape an image and that will allow you to cut or not, and will allow you to make an effect seamless or jarring according to your needs and your rhythm and the story's rhythm. A good exercise always is try to imagine anything you're looking at as a series of color splotches. Imagine that the tail is lost and you're just looking at the regions. These are the regions ultimately that will allow you to cut from one to another with different degrees of smoothness that you can incorporate to your editorial language. What does this mean? Simply that the smoothest cuts and transitions are going to be those made between images that have similar distributions of light and color. By the same token, the transitions and cuts that will be more jarring to the eye and to the attention will be those made between images that have significantly different color and shadow distribution in the expanse of the frame. Being aware of the screen space makes you capable of playing with the screen space. You can use your awareness of shape and form and their distribution in the frame to play and create rhythms yourself. This way you can enliven things which are pretty boring, things where the coloration or the rhythm of the material that has been shot and reaches you doesn't reach the level of activity that you need for this part of the film. Right away, this lets us use this information. If we want to call the attention to the edit, we are going to use distributions of color and shape that go against the present distribution and change. And likewise, if we want a soft transition, if we want a softer kind of cut where the cutting is not so evident and there's more smoothness in the passage from one image to the next image, then we are going to use very similar distributions of light and shadow and very similar distributions of color. We will try to find things that have more or less the same shadows of the same intensity, more or less in the same areas, where there is a light area lit more or less in the same position in the frame.